So 7.1 is on finding roots. All right, so this kind of helps you with the little differences of squares and cubes and stuff anyway, because it's about finding roots. And you can actually use that same chart that we had before, because that's kind of helpful. All right, also on this. So what's a root? Well, basically, the square root is what we're talking about. All right, so the square root of something squared, I'm just going to go like this, is equal to n because n times n is equal to n squared. So when you take the square root of a number, you're going to get whatever that number is that can be multiplied to reach that, which probably doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But if you take the square root of 9, for example, well, that's 3, because 3 times 3 is equal to 9. All right, that's a square root. Square root of 16 is equal to 4. Why? Because 4 times 4 is equal to 16. Now this is also true. The square root of 25 is equal to 5 because 5 times 5 is equal to 25. But it's also equal to negative 5 because negative 5 times negative 5 is equal to 25. So there's two types of square roots, okay? There's what is called a principal square root, which is what your calculator gives you. So if you say, hey, I want the square root of 36, and it's going to give you 6, that's called a principal square root. All right, that's what most of the time that's what we're dealing with. However, when we're doing some things in mathematics and we need to solve equations, which is where you're working towards, this idea of that it could be a positive or a negative is important. So in the real square root, I guess I'll call it, real square root of 36 is plus or minus 6 because a negative times a negative is a positive. All right. So it mentions that a little bit in the book here. It talks about principal square root and so forth. When you're doing your problems, I don't think they're going to expect you to have that positive or negative there. Okay.
So are we going to have, like for your test, are we going to have to define which one is a real square root and which one is a principal root?
No. Okay. No. What will happen, because we're going to, when we get into the last chapter that we do, and we start solving quadratics, we're going to come back to this idea that, hey, it could be a positive or a negative. Okay? All right. So really all that we're doing here is just finding square roots. Okay? So you should have some sort of a, actually you can do all your calculations in Desmos if you want to. I can show you. Or you can do it on a calculator. I'll show you both of those things. All right, so if I have a calculator like this, and it really kind of depends on the calculator. A good one, all right, which is probably not on your phone, by the way, a good one, you'll be able to do it the way you say it. So, for example, if I want the square root of 36, then I would type square root 36 and hit enter. See what I'm doing that, and I'm not getting 6. All right, because this calculator is not a very good one. All right, so if we use one that we've well, bought and paid for, I guess, it's going to be a better one. So in this case, what I would have to do is clear this off, is I have to go 36 square root. Okay, so I have to do it reverse of the way I would say it. All right, and that's the way a lot of the old calculators were designed and made before most of you probably were even born. Okay, I mean, this is back in the 1980s. They used reverse Polish stuff. Okay, you guys are all young. Now that one might be a pretty good one, so because that's like a TI-30, right? So you should be able to find the square root. But you see, I think on this one you're going to want to, I can't tell where you cleared that clear. You're going to want to hit the square root button first, because it's a TI-30. So where's this? How do you guys? You're probably going to have to help me, because is there an x squared? Oh, right here? Is it right? It's right above.
Right here. Oh, okay.
So you go shift that, and then you get the number.
Can you show me on this one? 36.
Sure. Maybe. I can see that one. Okay. So it's usually right above your squaring, wherever you're squaring. You see that, right? No, it's right here. So you're just going to go, let's go 20, see, this is going to have to be 25, probably square root. It's reverse. Yeah. Okay. Most of them you hit square root 25 and it'll do it. You might have to go in reverse. It's called reverse Polish. Okay, that'll work. If you're doing it on Desmos, you just there's a square root button on there, and it'll tell you. So you go square root and you put it in. Okay. So if you want to, you can just go. I know there's a square root thing there for it. You just go square root, type the number in, tells you what it is. All right. So yeah. So you can find the square root of all kinds of things on your calculator, all right? But sometimes it's just as easy to do without a calculator. For example, something like this. We have the square root of 1/9. On this case, you're just going to take the square root of 1, then take the square root of 9. All right? I mean, you know, in some cases, they're perfect squares and they're pretty simple. So you can just figure them out. Square root of 4, square root of 100, 2/10, or 1/5. All right, so, yeah, I mean, you can just do them. You don't need a calculator because you use that chart. All right. The one thing you want to be careful of is this, square root of a -16. All right. Now let's think about what we said about square roots. Is there a number that I can multiply by itself, so these two numbers have got to be the same, and I'm going to get a -16?
No.
No. I'm not going to get a negative anything?
No.
No. Because, why? Paul says we can't get it. Why?
Because if you multiply a negative times a negative, you're going to get a positive.
That's right. Negative times a negative is going to get a positive. The only way you're going to get a negative is by multiplying what?
Negative and positive.
That's right. And those are two different numbers. So this one has no, we're going to say, real solution. Okay? So you cannot take the square root of a negative number. All right? Can't take the square root of a negative number. Now, if they put the negative outside of it, that's a different story. Then you would take the square root of 49, which is 7, and make it negative. But you can't take the square root of a negative number. There's a difference there. So this here, can't do it. It's no real solution. This is okay because I'm not taking the square root of a negative. I'm just making my result negative at the end. So there's a difference.
You said that on the top one. Because I know why, because the negative is inside the square root.
Right, two negatives make it positive, correct? Yeah. Yeah.
So the bottom one's like something again by negative one.
Yeah. If you want to think of it that way, sure. Mm-hmm. So all the ones, I mean, I'm looking at these here, and they say evaluate or state the expression is not a real number. So you just, and every single one of them pretty much is going to turn out to be a perfect square. Okay.
What about with so the one D, the 9 plus 16, just add them and just write down the square root?
Yeah, I was just thinking about those. So if you have something that is the square root of 9 plus the square root of 16, then that would be the square root of 25. We're just going to add those up, right? Which is just 5. Okay. Now, if it's this way, that's different. Okay. This one says, hey, I got to take the square root first, then add them. So the square root of 9 plus 16 with its square root over the whole thing is this. But if it's
By
two
itself.
separate things, that's a different. Square root of 9 plus square root of 16 is different.
Okay.
All right, so you got to be careful with that with square roots. They don't add up that way.
3. So how did you get 25?
Well, it's 9 plus 16
Oh, you add and then that equals.
because they're both underneath the square root, so that's okay. But if they're not, then it doesn't work out that way.
If it's not, then you have to find their own, right? So 3 plus
Yes. Right. Until your next class. Okay. Let's see. Oh, cube root. And square roots that aren't nice ones. Okay. So, cube root. Some of your calculators have a cube root thing. Otherwise, let's see if I find mine here. Okay. On mine, it shows a little, this is a radical sign here with an X and a little tiny Y up here. It could be a Y, it could be an N. That's how you find a root that's not square root. Okay, so you want a little radical sign with that. To do those, I think you have to put the power, the root first. So I would go 3 first, then hit that, I think.
Oh, yeah.
3 root of 200 and see if it works. Nope, that definitely did not work.
I got 5.84.
Well, that sounds like a lot better answer than what I got. I may have to hit that first. No, it doesn't like that. 3 root 200 equals, maybe I got to go completely backwards. Let's go 200, hit that, 3 equals. Yep, 5.84. So I had to put the number in first, and then I had to put the root second. Okay? And Desmos does this too, but I'm going to have to switch screens here. Let me show you how it works, because it's actually kind of nice. And on the 83, if you go to the math button, and you go to num, I think cube root's on there, on the 83. If you go math, num, I think it's there. See if I can switch this.
Is it just a math and then what?
Isn't it in there? Doesn't it show it? If you go math and then num, does it show the cube root down there?
It's just letters.
Just letters.
One is ABS, round,
Okay. ABS, round,
I part,
I part.
F part, in,
What? I thought that's how you did it. I'll have to look at it, I guess. Sorry, I thought I knew it. Why aren't I getting... Oh, I bet I have to... I know what I have to do. I have to just disconnect it, I bet. There it goes. So here, if I want to do the cube root, I think that is underneath functions maybe. Miscellaneous, and then it's right there. So I'd hit that, so I have to go cube, and then come down here and go 200. There it is. So you go functions, miscellaneous, and it's right there. There's all kinds of other neat stuff on here. Okay, that's how you do it in Desmos if you want to use that. Okay. Otherwise, it's just you got to hit the. Some calculators are better than others with finding cube roots, and then you should just kind of round it to 100th. Okay, so I'd go like 5.84 or 85. Yeah, that's what I would do. Okay. What happened to my... Oh, I already paused it. There we go.